All right, Jacksonville Jaguar fans, you want more positivity? I heard you. Let's get into it here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is, in fact, your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. My name is Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get your podcast. Just make sure you tap a listen so you don't miss an episode like the one today. It is a crossover Thursday episode presented by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Of course, we are not playing this week. The Jaguars are on a bye, so it's not an actual crossover episode here, but it is a little bit of a crossover episode based on we're going positive over negative today, all right? So this is a little internal thing between me and the everydayers, and shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We appreciate you, and if you're not an everydayer, we appreciate you, and if you're new, we appreciate you too. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give you an idea of exactly where we're going today. We're going to talk about positives. We're going to end up talking about James Gladstone and his evaluation so far. After not even having this job for a year, I already think James Gladstone knows exactly what he's doing. We're going to talk Devin Lloyd and Anton Harrison in the second segment. We're going to start the show with positives, TNT, Trayvon and Travis. All right, so what I want y'all to understand is that, and another little private thing with, if y'all ain't been here every day and y'all don't follow Jaguars Twitter or the Jaguar fan base, I gotta say this, all right? These are not the only positives of this team, because there's gonna be people angry that I'm not mentioning Trevor. There's gonna be people upset that I'm not talking about Robert Hainsey and Foyola. Look, I got 30 minutes, all right? So there are more positives than the ones that I'm going to mention, but these positives I'm going to lump together for one reason. If you look at Trayvon, Travis, Devin, and Anton, they were all first-round draft choices, people that this team traded up for, in the case of Travis and Devin, because they traded from the second round and traded an extra third, and then a choice of Anton Harrison at a critical position of offensive tackle, and of course, Travon Walker, the number one overall pick. So, priority resources, players, three of which that were chosen by Trent Baalke. So, I'm really being positive today because that's what I'm going to go through these things and try to talk to the Jaguar fan base. Here's why I listed Travon Walker first. I've always said Trayvon was good. I watch football a little bit differently than everybody else. And I'm not saying that the people that don't watch the game the way I watch it, like they're watching it wrong. It's just that I've been around the sun for 56 years and I've been watching football since I was 6. So for 50 years, I have my own little way of watching the game, not to the point where I'm going to break down whether something is a mesh concept or break down of whether it's a beater. I'm not going to sit here and be all coach speaky with you. Shout out to the dudes that break down tape and get all coach speaky. All right. But what I am going to talk about is just the common sense approach to it. I think Trayvon has been really, really good at doing the thing that people say he doesn't do, which is rush the passer, and the thing that people never talk about a football player that does all the dirty work. My evidence that he does all the dirty work to the people who have always kind of been like, I don't see it. Okay. Yeah, you didn't see you didn't see how the Jaguars defense played when he wasn't there, did you? Or since he's been back, but he's not really been back. That's like 3 straight games. He missed a game and then he was back, but he really wasn't playing a whole bunch. How did defense look? They missed him, didn't they? They're not even the same, are they? They're not as physical. They're not as violent. They're not as fast. They're not as sudden. They don't make the other team adjust fast enough. The corners are having a longer time to guard. The running game, other teams are able to run the football. You see how you miss something when you don't realize how important it is? That's why I wouldn't be surprised if at some point during this bye week or next week or at some point during this season that Trayvon Walker gets a contract extension, because He does the immeasurable. And from what I understand, everyone in that building absolutely loves Trayvon Walker. You can't mention his name without mentioning the dude name in Detroit if you're not from Jaguar, if you're not a Jaguar fan. And anytime people get mad at the Jaguars, even Jaguar fans, the first thing they want to mention is the dude in Detroit. You ain't got to talk about a dude in Detroit. You got a very, very good to great football player out there right now that does some immeasurable things for this football team. So that's positive number one, even though he's been out. He missed a game and then has kind of still been out the last 2 games. You know now, even if it's by default, how valuable and how good Trayvon Walker really is for and to this franchise. So that's a positive. Shout out to Trent Baalke for taking him number 1. Positive number 2 is Travis Hunter. And we can go all through whether or not they're onboarding him correctly and they were transparent about the fact that they didn't know what it was going to look like and they were trying something new. Shout out to people that try something new and then when it looks funny can stand in the fire and say, yeah, it looks funny, but we're trying to figure it out, while everybody who's never tried it are sitting there throwing darts at them, right? So shout out to the Jaguars and Travis Hunter for being flexible and embracing everything that comes with it. I saw a video yesterday of after the game, after a loss, him going up to Matthew Stafford and him going up to Devontae Adams, and Devontae saying, man, I'm going to call me. You got me? Yeah, I got you. I'm going to hook you up. So this is a kid that, even though he's supremely confident, is still humble in the fact that he understands who's contributed what to the game. He knows who to tap into and is willing to continue to learn and to show that humility and respect for the game. And a negative shout out to anybody that gets mad at a kid for trying to get baptized or getting baptized before the game and being a pillar of the community, one of the hardest workers on the team, a family man who just loves football. Man, if y'all continue to try to find something to complain about, you're going to end up showing yourself as butt naked in front of all of these people, shaking you know what for clicks and negativity. How can you even get to the point where you criticize that kid for what he's doing? You can't. And then when he's on the field we know he hasn't spent as much time. And so for all the people that used to get angry at me also for saying, look, this ain't looking like we think it's going to look, and we need to do this a little bit more, and I need them to do this a little. Look, they're figuring it out. They're figuring it out. And what you can also see is how good he is on offense and how good he is on defense, right? And imagine how good he's going to be once it catches up. Once he catches up, at some point, no matter how many rooms he split in, eventually this thing is going to catch up and balance out, and you're going to see the true unicorn in him come out. But it can only work for one reason, and that means that Travis Hunter is a special, special human being. So when y'all really want to evaluate whether or not it was worth it, just understand everything and all of the value that he brings to the Jacksonville Jaguars team. All of these things don't manifest themselves right away. I'm glad I said that, because Devin Lloyd has been one of those dudes that did not manifest right away. And guess what Devin Lloyd is doing? Showing that he belongs and showing that the Jaguars probably need to give him a little bit of a contract extension too. He's banged up right now, but before he was banged up, he was the NFL Player of the Month on defense, Defensive Player of the Month. We'll talk more about Devin and Anton Harrison playing right tackle in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored, as I said at the top of the show, by PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid, man. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is such fun. It's a simple way to add more excitement to just watching the games, right? You pick more or less on player projections, just like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, not this year so much, and you're in the game. I tell you what, I'm going to always go with the team that has the alpha wide receiver and say that he's going to go over Jamar Chase, whoever it is, Justin Jefferson tonight. Make sure you tap in and say more on their player projections. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups as you play your first $5 lineup. That code is Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. And today's show is also sponsored to you by our friends over at Gametime. You're trying to go to the game. If you don't have a ticket, it ain't too late. Even if it's already kicked off, it's still not too late because Gametime is where you need to be. Let's be honest, man. Getting tickets can be a hassle sometimes between queues, long login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's all frustrating. You ain't got to worry about none of that with Gametime. The app gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, rolling along here on a positive Thursday during bye week is a crossover Thursday presented by PrizePicks. No official crossover because there's no game, but we are crossing over positives versus negatives. Today is positive versus negatives. I'm jokingly pretending that the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone has said, T-Wig, you're being so negative and everybody's being so negative. It ain't got nothing to do with it. It's fun, the fact that I can make that little segue and make that connection. But the truth of the matter is I planned to do this show about 2 weeks ago during their bye week. I was going to record it right after the Sunday's game and go ahead and post it to try to get ahead of things, but I decided no, let's wait because there's some things that might drop or come out that might allow you to speak this way. And one of those things was when Liam Cohen said we're moving forward, we're going to play our best 11, and then people started saying, okay, Wig, who's the best 11 on both sides of the ball? That depends on the situation. But I will tell you this. I have often talked about the Jaguars and them being set up to walk their top 4 or 5 guys out of that tunnel to match up with the 4 or 5 guys from the other team, right? Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is going to be one because he's the quarterback, and I do consider him one of their 5 or 6 best players, and he's at the most critical position. So just like in the draft, when a quarterback, his value is higher, even though he may not be as polished as a dude that plays another position, he'll go higher because of the positional value of the team. So I'm including Trevor plus these 4 dudes right here, right? All right, we named 2 of them already, Travon Walker and Travis Hunter. Let's get to Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd was playing absolutely lights out before he got banged up and got hurt. And that is a tribute to Tim Lukubu and Anthony Campanile and the new system. He didn't fit a lot of those old systems that they were running. And I always quote Wade Phillips, you got a system that can't use a great player, then you need to change your system. Great players can fit in anywhere. And that's going to tie in too with segment 3 when I start talking about James Gladstone, because I do believe that Devin Lloyd, they found a way to make him match whatever it is that they're doing, right? And to put him in positions to make plays and be successful. I can't stand the fact that people always used to talk about his athleticism and didn't put him in positions where the athleticism could be what he could lead with. They had him doing all of this other stuff, right? I guess they were working on his weaknesses if he had any. But Devin Lloyd is lights out, and he's a player that I want to see them move forward with. And I know some people may say, okay, well, if he's finally playing good in this system, it may be one of those Kyle or Mike Shanahan things where running back always looks good in their system because it's running back friendly. Now, I think what it has always been is when you see one team be able to draft one position very good, we're not paying attention to the evaluation leg of that. The evaluation is maybe they just know how to find dudes that know how to do exactly what it is that they're asking them to do. So there's a combination of it. It could be that they're a perfect fit. It also could be that they recognize what a perfect fit is in the first place, because too many teams draft dudes to do something that they cannot do, or you draft dudes and try to make them do something other than what their superpower is. Well, I think it's a perfect fit. that's why I think he's another dude that may get a tag or a contract extension depending on how the rest of the season goes. But he has been a positive. And I've often said that difference makers have to be dudes that you choose early because of the money. This ain't like in college where I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here a little bit, but where you can give a dude a whole bunch of NIL money and he is not good, but you still got to pay him. And in the NFL, you got to pay dudes too. But in the NFL, it hurts you when those guys turn out to not be good and you have to play dudes in front of them because it's just a waste of your resources. In college, not so much. The money that they give you to go to a college, whether you're a high school player or a transfer, was just to get you on campus. Your playing time isn't going to be determined by that, and it shouldn't be. And if any school is struggling, shout out to the team in Tallahassee that are playing dudes just because they make more money and not playing their better players, and that might not be true, but it feels like it, then that's a shame, right? So what happens is sometimes you really want it to line up. Not only do you want it to line up from a financial standpoint, we often talk about that. You want it to line up from a resources standpoint. Whoever we're paying a lot, we need to make sure that from a valuation standpoint, we were right. Not about the money, about what we're actually getting on the football field. And this year, Devin Lloyd was playing as well as anybody. And when you add him to a guy like Trayvon Walker, who's right in front of him, it makes it so much better. Somebody else that has been playing lights out and living up to their draft status is Anton Harrison. I don't want to make this too much about where they were picked. That's a little bit of a side note because we just got to pay attention to what they've been doing. Before Anton Harrison started getting banged up, he was my vote for comeback player of the year or most improved player, not only for the Jaguars, but one of them in the league other than Devin Lloyd, right? Well, Anton Harrison, even banged up, he's now still impressing the heck out of me because he's out there giving it his all. He looks like he really, really cares. I do miss him with his bad food advice, though, on social media and his bad recipes and all of that stuff. But for the most part, Anton Harrison has been everything you want. There's still people that wonder if he can slide over and play left tackle if he has to in a pinch. But right now, he is looking like a dude that should be a centerpiece for the Jaguars moving forward next year. I'm sure his fifth-year option will be picked up. And at some point over the next year or two, he'll be a dude that will be in line for one of those picks that's going to be here through at least 2 contracts and maybe become an older player and a veteran after 8-9 years. He's still here. Hopefully they re-sign him again. At some point, they got to start drafting people that start and finish their careers here with Jacksonville, kind of like Brad Meester did. So those 4 players are the absolute positives that I thought of. Once again, I'll tell you, there are more than just them. You can talk about backs and you can talk about some other people. But the positives right now on the field are the guys that I just mentioned. Those are the 4 dudes that I think about the absolute most. Trevor is in there, not only because he's the quarterback, because he's also a good, solid quarterback. We have been having that debate all week. I think that there's more blue sky, and it's not really about him improving his talent level. It is about him improving his consistency and what might appear sometimes to be his focus, and not focus as if he's not like he's paying attention to other things more than he is football. I just mean from down to down, from drive to drive, and he has to figure out a way to make more of his highs high or make more of his lows high and keep his highs high and don't have that variance. Just for all of those who aren't clear about how I feel about Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to talk about the man that is in charge of putting this team together and why it's imperative that he continue to hit on draft picks, not first round picks. For one reason, as of right now, he doesn't have one in 2026. We'll discuss James Gladstone and his evaluation prowess in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Mazda. That's right, Mazda is our sponsor for today's third segment here. Man, look, Mazda crafts cars for those that do more than simply move, right? Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Plus picks and awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes often sweat all the details. in their buildup, right? So Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but routine everyday drives, from smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard. In every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. That is Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, third and final segment here on Crossover Thursday, where the Jaguars are in a bye week. Tomorrow's show will be the last one until Monday. Obviously, there is no post-game show since there's no game, but we'll do a show tomorrow to get you primed up for the weekend and to allow everybody to do a proverbial woosah from all of the, not necessarily the tension, but a whole bunch of back and forth about this team. Shout out to Jaguar fans for being so passionate, man. You can't say anything bad when they don't want to hear it, and you can't say anything good when they don't want to hear that. So we do appreciate the passion. The only way you get blocked is if you talk about what my intent is and you don't know what you're talking about. My intent is to only bring you the best, most honest, straightforward, opinionated, authentic coverage that we can here on this show. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, regardless of what y'all think my motivation is. It's funny how people tell you what your motivation is and they don't even know you. But in any event, James Gladstone, he is an important piece to this whole puzzle. Part of it is not only his talent evaluation, part of it is the other parts are how in line he is with Liam Cohen. Like, if this team needs something, he knows exactly what it is based on the messaging and the alignment and all of the things that they talk about. He seems to push the right buttons, not only in the draft, but in free agency. Look, has it been perfect? Probably not, but it hasn't cost them anything. Do they probably still need more high-end talent on the offensive line? Absolutely. Have they made any signings this past offseason that will prevent them from doing that? Absolutely not. Not contractually. There's nothing on that line that James Gladstone himself did that would prevent them from getting a talented player either in free agency or in the draft with at least a day 2 pick next year. Not one thing. He can move and he can do whatever he wants to do. Diami Brown, 1-year deal. Tim Patrick, short-term, maybe a 1-year deal, maybe a short-term deal. None of those things will prevent him from going out. Even Brian Thomas Jr., if he continues to struggle, the Jaguars can go get a starting receiver if they want to, because he's on a rookie deal, right? And you hope that whatever ails him will get fixed, even if you have to drop the expectations. If you make Travis your number 1 wide receiver and make BTJ your number 2 or your number 3 with competition, that's how this thing rises up. It rises up through competition. They got to add more and more talent, and people like to talk about replacing guys. Well, they drafted me to replace me. They drafted you because they think you're good, and if you can replace the dude in front of you, then that raises everything, right? If you could take a dude on the depth chart who was your best player and then get a dude that's better than him, well, now the dude that used to be your best is your second best. So hopefully what that means is it rises your team up a little bit and it raises your team up, and that's the whole objective. People come in with this short-sighted narrative that they drafted me to replace somebody and then they drafted somebody to replace me. Yeah, but they want you to actually go out and do it. And then if you're the dude you think you're being replaced, they want you to fight him off, because all of that friction causes combustion, and combustion usually causes propulsion. That's how you make things rise up. You're not going to lift anything, man, by being stagnant, right? So I do believe that there's competition. I do believe that he's shown right now, look, Tank Bigsby, no, you're not better than either one of these rookies that we drafted. Day 3 guys, right? In Bashal Tutin as well as LaQuint Allen. When's the last time you heard fans clamoring for the third running back to get more playing time when the top 2 guys ain't nothing to make you mad? It's not like they're fumbling the ball or not playing well, but teams really want to see it. Teams are like, fans are like, man, I wish we could put all of them out there at one, because LaQuint Allen might be one of the better pass protecting backs and third down backs we've seen come in the league in a long time, especially the dude chosen in the 7th round. He has immeasurable value, even on special teams. Tootin, another dude, even though that one run against Seattle still makes me mad when he ran right into the dude that was being blocked and there was a hole to the left of him. But I got past it, and I'm going to get past it and say he is still someone who worked on his weaknesses. He's not putting the ball on the ground like he was known to. Rayon Lane. Rayon Lane was the second of 2 DBs that were chosen in the draft, and the Jaguars took Caleb Ransaw, who's probably still their free safety of the future, but he got banged up and he's missing the entire season. Well, Rayon Lane might not just be a Pro Bowl special teamer. He might be an all-pro special teamer. Every single time the Jaguars punt the ball and there's a fast tackle, I know number 25 is about to jump up and raise his hand up because I know who did it. And if I know it, other teams know it. And they can't block him. He's getting down there every single time, playing like his feet are on fire. And oh, by the way, because of certain injuries, he's also getting run in the 11-on-11. And he's doing that well. So maybe Rayon Lane and Caleb Ransaw in the future can be the starting safety combination for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So now you got your number 2 back, your number 3 back. If they don't decide to re-sign Travis Etienne, they'd be pretty good with those 2 guys, and then getting another guy in a draft, a young dude. All of that saves you money, even though I think I want Etienne to come back. But if he doesn't, I get it. You get those safeties a little bit more experience, get Caleb Ransaw back, get him healthy. Maybe then you team him with Eric Murray and you move on from some other people, some other veterans that are there. And then you fill those spots behind them with more young guys, since you have a track record of being able to do that, right? BJ Green, another kid that they picked up, has had some moments. We'd like to see a little bit more. The question is will Wyatt Milam and Jonah Monheim eventually develop into more than just depth pieces? Can they become, with more development, can they become eventual starters? That's yet to be determined. I don't expect them. I didn't expect them to be dominant right now, but at least they have a baseline of having guys already under contract in the system already that they can continue to develop while they add more to it. Like I said, he hasn't hit on everything. Nobody's ever going to bet or come in at 1,000%, but he's hit on a lot of stuff. And I think with more drafts like that, to combine with the fact that the 4 dudes I mentioned were high priority resource players that were added to this team, now you got to fill this other stuff in with competitive dudes that understand exactly what you need from them. Jaguars have a bunch of draft picks next year. They just don't have a bunch of number 1s. And if they can continue to work their magic, and next year's draft is supposedly stronger than the one we had this past season, the Jaguars continue to work their magic, there's some positivity that we can move this franchise forward a little bit. They're 4-3. Long term, this is a very macro look at things. There's enough positives to say, I like the direction that they're going. Let's just keep pushing and keep moving forward. You can move forward with me twice a day, not just here on Locked On Jaguars, but on Locked On NFL in the barbershop every day about 2 p.m. Whether you would listen on audio or video or watch on video, you'll see me wherever you find Locked On NFL. And you can check in with Tyler Rowland early in the morning. If you want to get woke up, you sleepy, you're on your way to work, and you need something to jolt you, and you can't stop and get coffee because the line's too long, listen to Tyler Rowland, because he's like a double shot of espresso, and he'll wake you up early on Locked On NFL in the morning. All right, man, y'all spent a nice 29 minutes here with me today on Positive Thursday. We thank you. We always appreciate the everydayers and the newcomers. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars.